But I'm going to ask Dwayne Chester, our sponsor from PNC Bank, to come and do the formal introduction. Dwayne really was instrumental in putting this together tonight, and I'd like her to introduce the Queen. Dwayne?
Good evening. Before I make the introduction, let me, where I was organized before, I had to put my cornrows in. Thank you all for being here this evening. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about PNC and why we care about this neighborhood summit and this dinner, and how it's important to the work that we do. We are honored to sponsor the Neighborhood Summit Dinner, and we strive to not only be a great banking partner, but we try our best to be a great community partner. We do our best to be visible, active, and to make sure that whatever expertise we can help to a community's plan, a community's ideas, and more importantly, a community's dreams, that we are involved and present to be there of service to you. So I'd like to say to my colleagues Simone Sotelo and Merle Burr-Screen that on behalf of PNC, we are here to be a community servant to you. And we want to thank you all for being here tonight, because you being here shows your resiliency. It shows that you care about your neighborhoods. It shows that you know your neighborhoods have opportunities. And while there may be some challenges, we know that you're here for the fight. So thank you so much. We'd also like to thank Invest in Neighborhoods and Community Building Institute, the staff, the volunteers, and the many people that make this summit a great event every year. So, with no further ado, I was in Columbus about 6 months ago or less, and I was able to hear the Queen at the Ohio CDC Association conference, and she just really spoke to my soul and my spirit. So when Elizabeth and I were talking about someone to bring here, as you probably guessed, I have a Southern accent, so there's something about Southern people that just really I gravitate towards. So this year we're honored to welcome Queen Quet, Chieftess of the Gullah Geechee Nation, as our keynote speaker for the summit dinner. Queen Quet's work is intimately rooted in the protection of human rights and land rights of her people, and personifies the true power and meaning of resiliency, the theme of this year's Neighborhood Summit. Queen Quet is the first elected chieftess and head of state for the Gullah Geechee Nation. She has dedicated her life to making sure that the Gullah Geechee culture remains on the Sea Islands from Jacksonville, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida. The Gullah Geechee Nation has been historically referred to as a nation within a nation, but officially became an internationally recognized nation in July of 2000. The Gullah Geechee Nation's mission is to preserve, protect, promote their history, culture, language, and homeland, and demand official recognition of the governance minority rights necessary to accomplish their mission to take care of their community through collective efforts, which will provide a healthy environment, care for the well-being of each person, and economic empowerment. At the center of Queen Quet's work is the preservation of the Gullah Geechee cultural legacy. Queen Quet is a fierce advocate for environmental justice and human rights. Queen Quet has brought the story of the Gullah Geechee Nation to national and international audiences. Queen Quet Marquetta L. Goodwin is a published author, computer scientist, lecturer, mathematician, columnist, preservationist, environmental justice advocate, environmentalist, film consultant, and the artivist. She is the founder of the premier advocacy organization for the continuation of Gullah Geechee culture, the Gullah Geechee Sea Island Coalition. Queen Quet has not only provided histo-musical presentations throughout the world, but was also the first Gullah Geechee person to speak on behalf of her people before the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland. Queen Quet was one of the first of 7 inductees into the Gullah Geechee Nation Hall of Fame. She received the Anointed Spirit Award, Anointed Spirit Award for her leadership and for being a visionary. Queen Quet has won countless awards for being a woman of distinction, for her scholarship, writings, artistic presentation, activism, cultural continuation, and environmental preservation. Queen Quet's accolades include the United States Jefferson Award for Community Service, the Jean Laney Folk Heritage Award for Gullah Advocacy, the State of South Carolina, the inaugural Living Legacy Award from the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, the inaugural Hotep Award, the inaugural Maveny Besh Conservation Award, I have to get approved, numerous Women of Distinction Awards, the National Black Her Story Award, being featured on the Wall of Heroes at the National Wilderness Society headquarters in Washington, D.C., and on the website of the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina, as a Woman of Honor. We are honored to have an opportunity to welcome her to Cincinnati to kick off the 2019 Neighborhood Summit. Please welcome me in welcoming Queen Quet.
Like my soul moves, sometimes I feel like my soul moves so far. A long way. It's your land. On earth and chill. Storm. Hi. Quiet. We break deep. But try and get downstairs. You ever like this child on the Gullah? Where it was? We all in it. And look at me like a cracky. He said, William. He said, don't stand me, dog. We drank a break again. Don't stand what is that? All of the aim. So I'm young. I still can't see what they know. They still don't stand me, dog. So great God. This year. Sure. Wow. need. So we have to study about who they live. One in a study lead. They have no sleep. And then we were done there. Going this way. The rest of them coming. So we gonna lead them a double lash. When we down there. Because then they know who we done told. We try to call we slave. But we don't tap that kid. We're gonna evil. Mandinka. Malinka. Uniform. Gullah. Geechee. Men. GGTV. But I don't know this job. Slave. I don't know this job. Then the other is a kid I'm coming on. Not me. Another is a one. See, abolition. You say, what I? You say, I want to be free. You got to get your doctor about to say, I want to take free. So when somebody take free, you have to know who they be. We know, we be going to get you. So plenty of time, you're going them in. And all stuff we talk. So we like the others say, terribly wild. After we terribly wild, and yet it ain't. We can start our stand. And still not stand. After a while, we can say, good evening. Good evening. Well, it's still trifling. They don't stand that tall neither. See what we would be. That's the first thing you would do. Say good evening. But we start with ceasing. These your poor bliss. And just the weather. Sometimes it's the people. And just like when you take water, when they're in a natural state, it move around. And it flows. And it reaches your heart level. And things like that. But when it freeze, you don't move. Stay to yourself. Then I study with that thing. I said, that was wrong. Then she they done hard. Cold maker. But don't move around. See, well, we did water flow. And I turned the ice. And I turned the snow. But I can't stand how you can get to a place like this here. Just stay to yourself. Sometimes you just say, well, I'd be better off just staying here and keep warm by myself. And go out joining all that cool. But then you stay in there too long, you come just like the ice. You freeze. In time, in that one spot. So the day that something comes along and uncover you, and then you realize, hey, ain't cold as it been. Say, in fact, something sweats up. And it starts to melt away and cover it. You might start to realize that being ice up in that one spot ain't all there is in the world. And just your neighborhood will come. You got a whole world out there. But one of the reasons you don't know that is because you got phones on that you need all that. Because instead of spending time with the people who right there with you, you don't know that. Because you too busy. Locked up inside some place by yourself. Frozen in time. Frozen in your own thoughts. Believe me, you know it all. Or at least you and the people in your neighborhood. Because the way we do it here is the way they do it everywhere, right? And this 4-block radius. And if you never walk around it, you just know out your window that it's 4 corners. You'll be surprised when you get around the next corner and then people say, what? Why you come over here looking like you look? What do you mean by that? Oh, we don't dress like that over here, dog. way you talk. No, that ain't the way we move, right? You know that. But now you get back on this corner here, they say, girl, you sure? Then you say, oh, well, let me stay on this corner. Go back on this side. But we ain't gonna pull up with them over there. So now you decide you want free here. Now you ain't even dealing with the whole neighborhood. You ain't even covering the whole block. You in this one corner. Now let's be playing pool. And we try to shoot that ball in the right corner pocket. I don't think you want to stay at the corner. Whole lot of things happen on the corner in most neighborhoods. We don't necessarily immediately equate that they was on the corner with the most ideal set of circumstances. We tend to know that if you want the news about everything about all four corners, go to the corner. And you might hear something. And somebody might say, well, you know, you ain't heard it from me, but you know that's what happened. Right? Well, they done move quickly away to this corner. We still over there. But now, what is it that y'all have that links you? You might say, well, the map. Because actually on a map, this is all connected. But where are you looking at that map? On your phone. And while you're looking at that map, doing Google Earth on your phone, and zooming in this way, you still locked up back here and not think about the fact that instead of doing that, you could get a real close-up if you came outside. Because we swear to God, whatever is modern is the best. So since modern technology tells us that's the way to survey the neighborhood, we do it locked up inside, all cold by ourselves, and then we do our statistical analyses based on the analytics that we just found on the Google. And then we write documents. You might put the phone down and pick up the iPad. And you get your Excel grid going, you get your Microsoft Word over here, and you pull down a few statistical things, and you put the graphs in there, right? And then you know, y'all do this thing that just kills me, PowerPointed. And I find no power in those points after the conferences are over and you see 50 of those in a row. But it works for you to get more money from PNC and other places. To say, but we've analyzed this particular neighborhood. And we've assessed that the population within that neighborhood fits within what the latest census data concludes is an area that is underprivileged and underserved. But my thing is, how you know I'm under? The only reason you assume that is because, like I said a while ago, you up there looking out your window down. But if you actually came down on the level with me, would you use the same word? Would you still consider me under them? Or would you consider us in the same place? So sometimes that's what it takes. It's not to be locked up in the box. Because see, I'm a mathematician, so when I see that shape up there, it's a box. A rectangle or square is utilized to make most boxes. All right? What I prefer is to see spaces like this that I'm more accustomed to. In the mores of my community and our ideology, we prefer the circle. Because see, when I'm in the circle, how I want to tell them to do? See that? See how they respond? Why? Because I can see all of them. Even at one time, I could look at y'all and see all of them. See, when y'all in that linear stuff, somebody's behind somebody else, right? So you figure, while I said turn the phones off, that I couldn't still see the phones that were on because some of y'all have them down here, but I can see better. Okay? So when you're in the linear format, you can line up behind each other, right? And then y'all do like the rap song. If I move, what? You move. Wow. Just like that. There you go. Oh, it's Friday night. Y'all got to do something. I got to get them drugs back. Bro. I'm going to let y'all eat first. They're ready. So now, if I move, you move. Just like that. Right? Now, that brother over there might never know I'm the one moving her. Because I'm behind. But if I'm here with her, and we all together, and I move, right? That brother there don't want to like that brother's like, nah, Queen, just lean on me. He done switch up on me. He on that lean on me. All right? So here it is, because you can see the dynamics of what's happening. So sometimes we have to just replace some of the things that we've been taught are the standard. In Western society, we've been taught that the linear is the standard. But in African cosmology, the circle is the standard. In indigenous cosmologies around the world, the circle is the standard. Because everyone can be part of the circle. Your computer screen, your iPad screen, your cell phone, which is really not a phone, it's a personal digital assistant. They let y'all call it a phone because you can talk on it too and dial out, but you do a whole lot of other things with it. That is based on numbers. The screen you look at is only clear because of dots. Dots are little circles. The more you have, the pixelation is that much better. The picture is that much clearer. That's why y'all brothers be spending all that money that them girlfriends and wives be mad about, man, with them new TV. Especially in the Queen City, where y'all got all these sports going on. They're like, what you mean I can't have the top television? Because you just bought one last year, but it didn't have this. Right, guys? Look at them, they don't want to answer now. But here it is, you're trying to, again, frame something. Here, when you live in a place, in fact, we're in the building now, but they went to New York and left us here, then we could actually see the team. And how much greater is it to be the team? But I can't be a team member if I'm in here watching y'all play. He said on the PlayStation. Yes, go there for the telephone. Yeah, on the PlayStation. I'm on here. And y'all out here. And that's a lot of times what community members feel about organizations and agencies and groups and institutions that come along later talk about, well, we have a grant to come in and study your community. And we want to evaluate what type of services are really necessary here. And we want to bring in certain things that we feel that the analysis has proven that your community would need. Because you have X amount of people who live below the poverty level, so we want to do some things to adjust that. We realize now that there's environmental pollution that has affected some of your children, so they're having asthma problems, they're having other issues. We also realize there's a water quality issue that we have to deal with, so the brown in the Ohio River is not what we need there. There's other stuff causing that brown that shouldn't go down, okay? And so we've come because we want to help you, at least while the grant money lasts. They don't say that last part out loud. Right? Do what you say? And the grant money won't last, he said. That's right. It never does. So what happens when it runs out? Do you run out too? Because if you run out, where am I? Am I on this corner? In this corner? Do I still have a building to be in to look out and see what's going on? Or did your statistics just condemn my building and tore it down? Because you said that the population here would be better served with some economic empowerment and revitalization zone that ought to come in and bring jobs. But what jobs. Paying what kind of money? And is anybody that lived in any one of these sections of what you call the neighborhood, do any of us have the skill sets for those jobs? Or are you actually building workforce housing because you're going to fly in the people with the skill sets to take the highest paying jobs based on your statistical analysis? And that's the point you were making, is you were taking our power. So now, we can't always think that just because we come in with $2 and a Happy Meal for people churn, that everybody happy to see you. But we want to work with you. We didn't send for you. We want to help you. How you help me, you don't know what I need done. How many women in here have ever been married? You ain't got to be with him now. Ever been married in your life? Now, help me out. If you ask the man to do 5 things, he do half of one. And he come back and ask you about the half. What's your reaction? It's okay. You need to hush your noise, because that's not. I'm sure they ain't using the action. That ain't the reaction. What's your reaction? Huh? Wait, I hear somebody. You go over, she said, my reaction is just, I'll do it myself. Automatically, you don't even give them a chance to go finish. She said, I'll do it myself. Anybody else have a different reaction? No, all of y'all like, I'm with her. Just go and do it yourself. No, some people said no. Who said no? What would you do?
I'll have to explain again what I asked you to do.
All right. And were you going to say that too? What were you going to say? All right. We got it all now. One sister said, forget about it. I'm going to go and do it myself. A whole bunch of y'all agree. Somebody else said, no, I'm going to explain again what I asked you to do. All right? The other one said, I'm just going to go and pay somebody else to do it. Use his money to pay somebody else to do it, right? That's what you mean. So now, here it is that we have all these different reactions to the inaction. That's really what it is. The inaction that took place caused all these variety of reactions. But now imagine if we were trying to report back what was the most successful action. Did all the things get accomplished? Somebody might say, yeah, they did. But then if they don't further look into how they got accomplished, they'd never realize she got it accomplished because she did it herself. She got it accomplished because she paid somebody else. She got it accomplished because she whipped him into shape and wasn't going to stop till he got all of them done in the manner she had already explained from the beginning. I need 5 done, not half. So now, if the community is expecting you to deliver on 5 bullet points you brought to their community meeting, now because your grant ran out quickly, you did half of one. Don't you think people ain't gonna have a good reaction? Like a lot of y'all sisters wouldn't even talk. Y'all was like looking at me like, Queen, don't send me back to that bar. You bringing back bad memories. Okay? That wouldn't be a good thing. You would want to say at the conclusion, we had a celebration because all of us did what we said we were going to do, and all of what we established were going to be our benchmarks of accomplishment would be done. But what I heard is, here in the city y'all named for me, the Queen City, that even though the lovely partners of the Gullah Geechee, my folks from PNC, see I love Ron, right? Couldn't even still help you get all these things accomplished because they ain't printing the money, they just hold the money. And it takes a lot more than you might think when you have these ideal, lofty goals at first. Your heart's in the right place, your intentions are good, but the road to some place is paved with the bodies of people with good intention. So sometimes we can't look at intention, we have to look at reality. And then we have to seek out, maybe our strategy is not the reality for this community.
Because maybe we're coming in trying to be linear when actually they relate to the circle. And maybe the reason our money ran out is because we were stuck spinning our wheels trying to get people to go in a line that are used to sitting in a circle. So a lot of times we go back and write these reports about what didn't work and make it appear that it was some type of problem in either the government or the community, or both of them, but it ain't got nothing to do with us who came into the field. But if we come into the field with only one type of mindset that doesn't change, we are that block of ice that I described. You stuck in your ways, and you have no intention of changing. So you're going to have to melt that down so that you can flow. Because, see, water will find its own level. And when you flow, you can move amongst all kinds of people. And you can connect to them. And you may find out that the very people who you were only looking at on Google are real, number one. And that you will learn things from them when you come close up to them that Google Earth doesn't have the data in it to tell you. And they could tell you that our family has been right in this spot before there was a city. Our family built the city. Our family were people who escaped on the Underground Railroad and made it here. And we were the real musketeers because we had to fight our way through the wilderness first before all the rest of this came about. So we're still fighting now, and we ain't going to let you put us out. So you can go on back to your office if you want to come in here pointing out what your power is, because we have more power than you. And the collective unit of people is always stronger than anything else you can put up against them. It's always about the will of that circle. Y'all join hands right here at my circle that I was in right here before I came up here. Y'all join hands. Now, if somebody came from the outside, I like you. Come over here. I like you. Because you look like you should have some strength and power. Break into that circle for me. Break it. Go on, break it. Go on, get up in there. Now, see, that wasn't a break-in. Did that look like a break-in to anybody? That was a let-in. That was a let-in. Exactly. Now, what? There you go. Now, that was a break-in. See, that was the old school. Old school know what to do. All right. She came over here, and you, but then, man, y'all might say, no, that was a break-in. She did what some ladies, y'all know y'all do it well. She charmed these two. She used what she had to get what she wanted. She came over and smiled at them both, and they went, oh, hi. And they just let her in. But what was good was she was a distraction, because while they were looking, my girl just came in and was like, yo, I'm in here. Boom, taking this. And then sat down. She's still standing up. She sat down and took the spot. Okay? Now she died, now she didn't let her again. God adopted her. You see that? And sometimes we adopt them because we let it post without knowing anything about it. Not knowing what their plans are. And they use their charm and their lure and whatever they have to work with to get it. And once they're in, they put you out. And it's, you know something about this.
I know a little something. You teach me a whole lot more. Because I'm going to take it to my neighborhood and show them.
That's what I'm here for. You tell us I can sit down here and see my job over. I done got it. He done said he taking it back to the neighborhood already.
Yeah,
You see?
it's
It's what's happening.
It's happening real strong.
Yeah.
In the West End.
And consistently, right?
It ain't stopping.
And ain't stopping.
It ain't letting you in unless you get in.
That you get in. You get in where you fit in, right? So she, there it is. So she don't even have a chair, but she got in where she could fit in. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, right here. So now, savage, y'all, all day long. They gonna say, great God, Queen, them people gonna fight tall. And I said, right. Because I have never done that where I live in. Anybody was able to get in. Nobody. Because people kept holding on to each other. And we ain't just letting you up in here. Yes, some people call us clannish for that reason. But we like, you ain't part of the clan, so who you is? Who you belongs to? What you come here to do? So you say, I don't know what you come to do. All right? But we need to find all that out. Why? Because in Africa, when we just let people in, people snatched our children out of there, snatched our mothers out of there, snatched our husbands out of there, never to be seen again. Wasn't with no questions asked. People asked for days and months and years afterwards, what happened to our family? What happened to our community? And that's why normally when I speak, I'm dressed differently than this. But God said, nah, remember the journey and make them remember the journey. If you look, the folks on here are walking, but they ain't doing them like we would have said dry long soap. If you look, they're not empty-handed. They're coming with something. Why do you think they have what they have with them? What you think, sister? Say that again.
They had to carry everything that they had with them.
Right. She said because that's all they had, and they probably had to carry everything they had with them. What do you think, bro?
Maybe so that they could share among each other.
Exactly. And what they had with them, they had to be able to share it with each other. What do you think they might be carrying, brother?
They are self-sufficient.
They are self-sufficient. Critical word. Because I can't feed you if I can't feed myself. Right? So, part of that self-sufficiency might require what you think.
Making sure that you can bring everything with you if you're not going to return to that place.
Uh-huh. And how do you know whether you would or not, right? She said, bring everything with you if you're not going to return to the place. You don't know, maybe you're going back, but you ain't sure, right? So you bring what you can, and then you got to make do. So what you think they got here? Any of y'all at this table? Anybody? Huh? There you go. Food. Same thing all y'all done had. Food, she said. What else you think they might have?
Hopes and dreams.
Exactly. Hopes and dreams. And what else over at this table? What you think they could be carrying with them on the journey?
Resources that can be usables.
Yes, they can reusable resources. I like that. She said resources. They could use the bowls right here. What y'all think they might be carrying with them? Ah, there we go. I was waiting for somebody to say that. Go ahead, my brother, tell them.
Some to protect themselves.
Something to protect themselves. Anybody at this table, what you think? I love it. Go ahead and say it.
Their history and their knowledge of themselves.
Right. Their history and their knowledge of themselves, which in and of itself is a protection. All right? Anybody at this table? Ah, good point.
Things for shelter.
Things for shelter, because remember, they got them bundles tied up there, carrying them on top of your head, as we say, right? So some of those you could stretch out big enough to make a template on, right? And then put all the resources, human and otherwise, in them. Anybody at this table? Anything else? Yes.
They carry their soul and their livelihood with them.
Exactly. They're carrying their souls and their livelihood with them. As you heard me at the beginning, singing Motherless Child, sometimes I feel like my soul's most gone. Some people have gotten to the point where they've been so beaten down in a structure called a neighborhood, put into a box and the box hammered around them like it was a casket while they were yet alive, that they don't feel like they have their own soul anymore. And so it's critical that we realize that when people know who they are, they will fight to hold on to their human resources, which includes their soul and their spirit, that their energy, their power, their knowledge, their wisdom, their understanding, their cultural abilities will make the difference about what they bring into the circle that can protect everybody, that can give them spiritual shelter, even when they don't just have the physical shelter, but that it will give them the understanding and the overstanding of how to take what you got and use it for what you need. So even if we originally tied up this food and everything, we done finished eating that food, that don't mean leave that cloth behind. We need this cloth. We're going to need to tie this together. We're going to need to sew it together. We can make a quilt that all of us can get under and stay warm. We can turn that into a shelter over us if there's a storm. But if we never collectively get together and put it together, we might have all we need and all of us die out there in the wilderness. Because we're not walking or working together. Because somebody frozen in one spot, not trying to flow with the rest of us. If y'all notice something,
Once somebody ain't looking the same way as everybody else. See? A whole bunch of folks looking one way, and got that one man, he looking the other way. That could be good and bad. Because if he and I, what's your name? Jake, another Jake in my life. If Jake and I are a team, is it good or bad that Jake and I are looking at each other? He said, not eye to eye. Because at the level I'm on, it don't look eye to eye, but Jake, to us, it does, right? So now, is it good or bad? To us, Jake said it's all right. Jake said, look deep in my eyes. Go on. So, and the rest of y'all, is it good or bad? Some say, okay, who said bad? I heard a couple bad. And who said good?
I say both.
You said both? Why you say both?
Because it depends on the circumstance.
Exactly. It depends on the circumstance. Because if Jake and I get too mesmerized with just looking in each other's eyes directly, I'm not on point. Because I'm up higher than Jake, so I should be watching Jake's back from over here. I should be able to leap off here and push Jake down and help Jake. Just like if something came all of a sudden from behind me, Jake should have done jumped up and got it, or did something else from his seat. We ain't gonna talk about firepower there tonight, but you can handle that. Right? But if we just get zoned in here, that linear vantage point, we're missing everything outside. That's why, again, the circle can be more empowering and more protective than the linear vantage point. But like she said, all depends
on the circumstances. So quite naturally, I don't expect you to go in the PNC Bank without your paperwork filled out. Talk about Queen Quet said we just need to sit and look into each other and discuss this. No, them folks gonna want you to bring them statistics in there and that report and leave it on their desk. They want that linear report. They gonna let you know real quick. Sister, we are not in Africa now. We are here. Right, brother? Okay. So they do it one way, one place. They do it another way, another place. But which one will work for us in this circumstance? Ideally, most effectively. What resources are we bringing in? And how will we use them? We may actually need a circle that has a line between it that connects to another circle. You see? So, here it is that I said, well, it's interesting. They must be trying to give me the freedom, or they want to be free up there, to bring me from down south, again, to Ohio. So I said, I like places that's high. Anything going higher, I'm good with. But now, what's the reason? They said, well, we want you to talk about resilience. I said, really? I think I know a little something about that. Since my people have somehow existed on the Sea Islands from Jacksonville, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida, since the 1600s consistently. And we are in a hurricane zone. But yet, when they say evacuate, we stay. While all the newcomers, all the snowbirds, fly on back up here and wherever else they came from in the first place. They try to leave. But there used to be a song that said, "Oh, sinner man, where you going to?" Because a prime example is, we got here. As soon as we got here, we're looking out the plane and people close doing that. And we said, "Oh, gee, it's cold out there then." But when we stepped outside, it was 70 degrees. I said, "Oh no, it's a wonderful breeze out here. It's not a cool breeze." And then we get downtown and they're like, "Well, y'all know a storm's coming." I said, "Is that what the wind is all about?" "Yeah, so be careful because it's about to rain. Y'all need umbrellas? Because the storm coming." Okay, which kind of storm? What we dealing with? Well, it's going to be wind. I say it's going to be wind because it's already windy. But no, but the rain and all that. I said, okay, so rainstorm. I got you. I'm from the Sea Islands. I know what those are like. So that means hurry up, get food. Let's hurry up, get this food, and get back inside. We were going to go checking things out. I said, we will not. We will check in. And we will stay in. And sure enough, at first, we could see the whole city. And a little while later, we start hearing stuff tapping on the glass. And we look, and it's big drops of rain, not no little bit. All right? And then we start saying, well, hold on. Where the bridge went? What happened to bridges now? Hey, hold on. Another bridge getting, well, wait, that one disappearing too. Get the camera. And we watched as this mist of rain came across within about 10 minutes, where now what we used to be able to look across and see, we could see no more. But within a half an hour, we could see everything again. So it's not that because something might already be there that it's not going to go away. It's just about how do you get yourself together in the midst of that storm, of whatever that issue is. What is it that you can do to improve your neighborhoods and make them resilient enough that they don't panic just because a storm coming? And then when the sirens went off, I said, those are tornado sirens, correct? Because there are no such things as hurricane sirens. So I said, these are tornado sirens, and sure enough, I called myself, turned to Judge Judy. Next thing, Judge Judy was a man talking, see this box right there? It's a tornado watch coming, and I was like, excuse me, that box looks like it's over where I'm at right now. And it was. So what did I do next? I know how to deal with myself. I went on around and found where it was at a shelter, and I said, oh, got it, perfect tuck-in spot right there. You duck down in there, you cover up, ain't got no windows. I got it. Then I had somebody with me. He talking about, let's open the curtains so we can watch. I said, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to leave you here to watch. The minute that one of them clouds looking like he do this, he about to do that dance move that I'm good at, I'm going back here. Okay, I done found the spot. But they kept saying, oh no, it's doubtful that it's going to touch down. But once it touches down, ain't that too late? Right? So like this brother said on the north end in various places, y'all have already had some things touch down. And those community members who've been there feel like it's too late. This is moving too fast. It's coming in to sweep us up. It's going to take us away. But part of why they feel like that is because they don't feel there's a siren warning them to help in their neighborhood. Because instead of talking to them, you tweeted. So you ain't think about your statistics that said if they were underprivileged, underserved, they might don't have a warm home. And even if they did, they might have it flipped for them. They ain't got no Twitter on that. So here you tweeting about what you're doing for the community is not getting that. Because we're not communicating. So I often think about that when people start throwing words out. I'm like, okay, they're a neighborhood summit. We don't have neighborhoods where I am. We have communities. And we have islands. So I did what I do, especially after they said this will be held at the Cintas Center at Xavier University. I wanted to make sure to explore academically what the terminology was that we would be dealing with this evening. So I went and I looked, and to my chagrin, I found out that when I looked up the definition for neighborhood, they actually said there is no exact definition of neighborhood. They actually had that written. It said there is no exact definition of neighborhood. And so I said, well, then why is there more words after saying that? Because then they went on to say, but generally, spatially as a specific geographic area, and functionally as a set of social networks. Back to that phone. Instead of us being in our circle and considering that our social network, like my brother here got happy when the lights went completely out. I was with him. I was like, oh, we're going to turn on stars up here in the ceiling next we'll get the music going. What's going on? It's Friday. He got happy. We were really going to network and be social. But a lot of us, you won't speak to anybody in this room tonight, but you'll leave here and tweet or Facebook post to them. And not realize the same person you just tweeted or Facebook posted to actually sat and ate dinner with you. You don't recognize them because they ain't got their real picture up there. So here it is, spatially, your social network. How are you using your circle to engage with one another? Are you networked? Are you connected to them? And nets mean a lot to us because we use them for nourishment. See, that would have been one of the things we would be carrying in our group here, would be our nets, because we'd all be going to the creek to get our food, especially on Friday night, fish fry. In fact, they have an oyster roast tonight while I'm up here. So now, they also said, generally, spatial units in which face-to-face social interactions occur. Isn't that something? And most urban people live in apartments, and those are units. They're sold to you, rented to you as units. But how many of you know the person next door and have any face-to-face engagement with them other than watching your shoulder while you put your key in your door if you see them trying to come out in the hallway or put their key in their door to make sure they ain't trying to push their way in your apartment? So we're not necessarily communicating with who we say is in the neighborhood, who is supposed to be the neighbors. So are we defining this way? It says the personal settings and situations where residents seek to realize common values, socialize the youth, like this young lady, all right, and to maintain effective control. See, that's where Gullah Geechees veer off right there, because enslavement is too close up still. So we don't like anybody coming to us in our community trying to control us and tell us how to think. If you're going to come here, this is our house, and you're going to learn how we do things here. But you ain't coming in with your new plan and your new arrangement because you got a grant to tell us what to do. So when I saw that control, I said, oh, I got a good idea. This is some Western society definition right here. Because why does it have to be about control? Why can't it be about community engagement? You see, there is a difference between those things. And so here it is. And I said, well, you know, resilience is about the capacity, they say, to recover quickly from difficulties and have toughness, the ability or substance of an object to spring back into shape, elasticity or flow that I'm talking to you about is that, yes, someone may have come in and controlled you by what their standards were previously, by saying the way in which you do community engagement is you fill out these forms. If you get granted this money, you follow this particular thing, you provide us with the statistical data that tells us you met your metrics, and then you go back and you report out with your PowerPoint, and then we can further engage with one another. They may have told you that's the only way that we do it. But I'm here to tell you, if you don't challenge that, that becomes the norm, but it may be a dysfunctional norm. Because again, if we started to do 5 things, only get half done because there's so much resistance to us trying to come in and control the way the narrative is written and the way the process is done, we'll just be spinning on wheels and never moving forward though. So we have to move beyond neighborhood to community. We need to know that everything is not here in this one little rectangle or square or however the block you're working on is laid out. That there could be some circular dynamics that now need to be part of the process. And that means that everybody there gets to look at each other and share and bring something to the entire group as a resource. And when you do that, guess what? At these resiliency planning groups and these adaptation planning meetings, they're studying those of us who survived all these hurricanes. And guess what they said? Oh, they're more resilient because they share their resources. Wow! Well, like you just realized that. You're more resilient in a neighborhood if you know one another ahead of the crisis. Whether that is a climate change related crisis, an environmental injustice that has happened in that community, whether that is suddenly a touchdown of something nobody saw coming. And I don't mean on the football field. So it's still up to you though. It's about choices. Do you want to remain a neighborhood block of ice? Or do you want to melt away some of what you've been taught and some of what you thought was the only way in which things could be done based on your culture? And are you willing to flow with others and learn something new, no matter how close you are to retirement? Are you willing to be part of a living social network, not just Facebook? I know it's for the old people, right? Yeah, not just Facebook, not just Snapchat, all right? Not just Twitter, not just these things that we Instagram, that we think are the networks. They're programming you, once again, to look down here and miss the circle that you're part of out here. So I ask you tonight to go back to wherever you work, to come tomorrow, to engage in the circles of discussion and share with one another what might you melt away so that you can open up the floodgates of enhancements and improvements where the Queen City becomes more like the Queen's Nation, where it's community, not just a bunch of blocks and neighborhoods, but where people are interconnected. Where now, this is what I'd like you to do. See if you can join hands with somebody across that way and see if y'all can join and get me a circle that come all the way around this room. So see, sister right here, start right there and see if you can connect to her right there. And let's see if we can get y'all to connect all the way so that I can get one circle on the edges there. She loved him. He knew what to do. He went on back up the chair. Now let's see. There we go. I love her. See, she's not staying in her spot. Now look at this. Look at this. Look at that. They immediately change so they can adjust. So now, go ahead. Beautiful. So now, and then, there you go. And they're making up that part. And so now, once they connect there you go. Look at this. So now, see how now everybody wants to be part of it. The ones in the center are like, I'm protected now. So y'all go ahead, right? And so, see, now what happened right here? Are we all connected right there? Does it look like somebody, are y'all connected? Yes? No, it looks like my brother right here is left disconnected. Yeah. So you got to connect up.
We'll just do it this way.
So now we have a whole circle. We got a circle and a piece, right? That's in it.
Come on, he said, come by here. He wants your straight by him right here.
Right there. All right.
So she said, y'all like that, I'm gonna get up in here with y'all. Y'all sound like y'all got some fight going right
We got
here.
it going on.
Yeah, it is. I
We
like
extra
that.
strong now with you right
See,
here.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you know, let it be known.
Let it be known. I like that. So let it be known that the neighborhood summit is now a community summit. Yes, and we all together. We are
Peace be
united.
with us, y'all.
Yes. And so what other way does a crown win? They win because they have an army of people that are willing to fight together for the same purpose, you see. So how you gonna protect your city that the Queen's crown is on if y'all won't fight together? You got to be able to look at each other and protect each other's backs. Right now, we can see one another. So you can see them on that side, can see if something's coming at us back here. We could see if something's coming at them back there. And they have a few people in the center, which is fine, because sometimes that person might be weak and you need to protect them. So you let them take a break and be in the middle for a while. And when they're strong enough, they're going to come back out on the edge right here. And then when you know where the greatest attack is coming, you put your real generals there. You don't just put the soldiers, you put the generals here. Because they like, they ain't nothing coming through no matter what you do. You understand? We ain't just letting nobody in. We ain't gonna talk to them people over there. We ain't just letting folks up in there. All right? There it is. And so it's really important that we start to realize that no matter where we're from, there's always still something that connects us. All right? And even whether it's the Ohio River, or the Savannah River, or the Ashley River, we are all made of predominantly water. So that link and that flow goes with us when we walk. We just have to realize that. So if you are not going to drink poison directly knowing it, you wouldn't want poison to go into your water. So that means we have to be more conscious of looking out as to what we're doing in the circle. Because eventually, whatever we do in the circle and we start here, what's going to happen?
Stay in the circle.
Do it stay in the circle?
Stay in the circle.
It go around.
Stay in the circle.
And normally it do. It come back around. And a lot of times it gains momentum. So it has more power by the time it gets back to where you were.
Like over here.
And so water can heal, but water can hurt. So again, it's the choice. Which one do we want? This is my Heal the Land World Tour. So I sure ain't come here to hurt you. I might have stepped on a few toes tonight, but I ain't come here to hurt you. I came here so we can melt it all down, and we can flow like a river, bringing you back to freedom. So take it to all 100 children. What you're at now, Community Summit, talking about resiliency from the Gullah Geechee to where we be. And I want to say take it one more time to PNC, to Elizabeth Bloom, to Ms. Emma Cherie, to all y'all who I'm just loving this journey with tonight. And for my brothers right here, the soldiers holding me up, standing strong. And I know that even when I go, they gonna make sure y'all won't break the circle.
Sure
and that
will.
you always flow.
Stay.
Blessings.